Hi, this is Charlie with Boxing Focus. Alvarado and Rios and their trilogy fight, and it's fascinating for me at least because these guys are both on the precipice career-wise. Alvarado's lost 3 of the last 4. Rios has lost 2 of the last 4, but one of the victories was a bit of an awkward one, the DQ win over Chavez, and really both of them, their last 4 fights, the highlight has been beating the other. Alvarado had a really heavy loss at the hands of Ruslan Provodnikov, a damaging one health-wise, I think, and he got decisively beaten and hurt again too against Juan Manuel Marquez. Brandon Rios, I mean, he was disfigured, but he seemed all right after a complete pummeling by Pacquiao. But he was quite disfigured after the loss to Alvarado as well. So this big swollen hematomas on his face. It was pretty nasty stuff. So with both guys, coming into this fight, there's a lot at stake. Whoever loses is basically staring down the barrel in terms of their boxing career. So I'm quite interested in the mindset of each of them coming into the fight when it comes to making my pick as who's going to win. So, I mean, we only have limited footage, limited means by which to make a judgment. The Showtime build-up show is one of them, and I quite liked what I saw from Brandon Rios in his camp, and I've seen a few other interviews as well and a bit of shadowboxing footage, it's all pretty positive stuff. So there was 3 points really. The first is that he seems to have accepted that he's become a bit too easy to hit. This is a guy people forget. He's got good amateur pedigree. He knows his technical boxing. He can do it, but he seems to have gotten away from it. He seemed to have fallen a little bit in love with his power and the fact that he was knocking guys out and he was a bit of a tank. And he's become more and more static as his career has progressed. So he seems to have recognised this. He also seems to have recognised that you've got to be dedicated in this sport if you're going to have any longevity and be successful long term. You have to be training all year round. You can't be ballooning in weight like Rios has been doing. I think it's fairly evident that he's basically, up until recently, only been training in camps. Outside of that, he's been letting himself go and not looking after himself, and he seems to have accepted that this is not good for him, and there's a consequences in the gym more, and is looking in much better shape early on. That typical fat chin of his doesn't seem to be there. He's looking quite trim, quite far up from the fight, and that's promising. And the footage of him shadowboxing is very promising because he's working a lot on head movement and slipping and upper body movement and footwork. It's not just marauding forward with power punches. He seems to be putting a bit more thought into his work and trying to develop good habits, and it's all it's all very positive stuff. I think he's realised he's got to turn his career around or it's going to be over. And I think if you're a Rios fan, that's what you'd want to be seeing out of him. In contrast, though, Alvarado's camp, I didn't really get any positive vibes from it. Seemed to be a focus on this infraction with the law. Not too bothered about that, if I'm honest. I think boxers have got to have that edge to them. It's just something that comes with a sport where you're getting your brain shaken in your skull. It's more, I don't know, it's like he's sounding punch drunk, and then the technical side of boxing doesn't seem to be there in any of the training footage that they're showing. They show him shadowboxing briefly, and it looks like it looks like you're taking a 12-year-old and put them in a ring and ask them to shadowbox for the first time. It's just absolutely awful. I don't know whether that's just always how we shadowbox, but it's not the type of thing I like to be seeing. But I wonder how much his recent fights have taken out of Alvarado. And Brandon Rios is kind of famous for being in wars, but Alvarado really has been in wars. I mean, I think the first time I saw Mike Alvarado fight was against Bradis Prescott, and he took a bit of a beating in that fight before he turned it around and knocked Prescott out late in the fight. And I think that's kind of happened very regularly over Mike Alvarado's career, and he's health-wise, especially like his mental capabilities seem to be suffering as a consequence. He's sounding punch drunk, obviously making mistakes like the ones that got him in trouble. Just worry, I mean, the beating that Provodnikov put on him was a nasty one, and it must have been nasty to get a guy as proud as Alvarado to acquiesce to being stopped on his stool. I just wonder how much is left in his tank. And not just that, when he beat Brandon Rios in the second fight, he did it using a very simple game plan, which was why originally, when this trilogy fight was made, I thought, Alvarado's got the beating of Rios. All he had to do was hit and move, hit, move, just combination move. Just wait for Rios to get in range, hit him, and then move out the way before Rios could set. And Rios just didn't know how to deal with it. He just followed Mike Alvarado around. But it does require discipline. It does require focus. And the vibes that I got from all the footage I saw was that basically that might be a bit of a struggle for Alvarado at this point in his career. It just might require a kind of sharpness that he's starting to lack. And not just that, if Rios does come into this fight moving his head a little bit more, Rios is the guy with the power in this fight. He's the one that packs the punch. He wobbled Alvarado with a jab. I mean, he already knocked Alvarado clean out, basically, out on his feet when they stopped him in the first fight. If Brandon Rios is getting into range without taking a lot of damage and getting his shots off, then Mike Alvarado's in trouble. And it seems to me that Brandon Rios is making those adjustments required for him to be able to do that. Whilst Mike Alvarado seems to be just dealing with things in his personal life and suffering the consequences of all the wars that he's been in. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into some pre-fight footage that's possibly put out there politically, whatever. I don't know the motivations of the guys behind it. Obviously it's also very limited, so there you go, that's just my opinion. Let me know if you disagree. I appreciate the feedback. This is Charlie with Boxing Focus. Thanks for watching.